One.
I hope you've enjoyed the reading of the Proverbs as we've gone to the fifth proverb. And we'll continue the words of Shlomo Solomon in our next live broadcast, hoping that you're being fed from the Almighty through our sharing with you. We do love you. We have the heart of the Most High given to us, the heart of love for Him first, and the heart to love our brethren. And He would that none of you would perish, but all would come to repentance and remission of sin. For sin is transgression of His law. Ladies and gentlemen, beloved, by His will, we'll be back again. Thank you for listening. 877-289-7439. That's 877-289-7439. The number to call. Again, the third time. Redneck, Donna, Sam, you're there 43 seconds before we start to hit the towers.
Yes.
All right, you copy. Thank you very much. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to connect up with Larry here in just a little while. We thank you for your patience. 24 seconds left. And we'll see what we can do here. Okay. Try this. Let's see if it works. Here we go. Okay. 3 seconds. ClassicRedneckRadio.com.
When life's feeling like it's gonna be a wipeout, then grab your helmet and fasten your seatbelt. Don't forget your fire suit, 'cause we're going home to Mama. You know what I mean. Happy, happy, woohoo! Don't forget your pickup truck and your Harley too. Bring out the farm tractor, 'cause we're gonna be plowing through. Yeah, classic redneck radio. Classic redneck radio. Classic redneck radio. Sweet classic redneck radio.
Welcome aboard Classic Redneck Radios this evening. We appreciate you and your loyalty to listen to this broadcast each and every night. This is a live broadcast, of course, and we're hailing out on various stations, and of course there will be some rebroadcasting as well. At 11 o'clock p.m. in New York State, we'll be on WJIV 101.9 FM on WJIV, and that goes all across the state of New York, as well as another FM station in upstate New York. And of course, we're from coast to coast with the Christian Worldwide Christian Radio. So we're going to bring on Sam here for just a moment. Sam, do you copy me? Sam,
Yes, I copy.
Very good. Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, in this live broadcast for the next 58 minutes or so, we're going to contact Mr. Larry Sharpe, who's running for the governor seat in the state of New York. And we have investigated him, checked him out. I've spoken to him personally, and we're going to bring him on the air here in just a little bit on the broadcast. We're going to let him tell his situation, his story, and his intentions as well. So let's see what we can do here. Sam, if you could give out our contact information at this time, I appreciate it. I have a call coming in.
Absolutely. You are listening to Classic Redneck Radio. That's classicredneckradio.com. And you can write us letters of support. And at 1644-1 Carter Street, Vidalia, Louisiana, 71373. Again, that's 1644-1 Carter Street, Vidalia, Louisiana, 71373. Make that out to Dr. Gary Haygood. He's our buddy. And the office number in the daytime, 877-289-7439. Again, 877-289-7439. And there is another number, but we're asking really for the older folks who've been with us for a long time to maybe not use this number so much. We have an 856-776-1176 is a number that you can call if you're interested in some of these commentaries about the mark of the beast and these sorts of things that Brother Billy has been talking about. That would be the number to call, 856-776-1176. And please be patient. Leave your name, number twice so they can get back to you as soon as they can. ClassicRedneckRadio.com, live weeknights between 9 and 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and actually 24 hours a day on the internet. You can hear the Psalms, the Proverbs, prophetic Psalms, the Proverbs, and the Torah, as long with some other broadcasts as well.
All right, Sam, thank you very much. What we're going to have to do is do an emergency hookup with Larry, actually. And Sam, we have some noise on your system. I don't know why, but there's some noise. So we have a little white noise happening there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Sam give out the mailing address and telephone information. And while I'm on mute, I'm going to call him on his cell phone, okay?
Sounds real good. Again, the address, if you'd like to contact Classic Redneck Radio, and do stay with us because Larry Sharpe is going to be contacted, a man running for governor, and we'll have him on the air here pretty soon. If you'd like to contact the radio, our radio program, send a letter of encouragement or assistance for the broadcast, you send that to Dr. Gary Haygood, 1644-1 Carter Street, Vidalia, Louisiana, 71373. Again, Dr. Gary Haygood, 1644-1 Carter Street, Vidalia, Louisiana, 71373. Now, the number of the office down in Louisiana is 877-289-7439. Again, 877-289-7439. And then there is another phone number that you can call if you're a newer listener and are curious about some of the comments and some of the teachings concerning the Mark of the Beast. And that number is 856-776-1176, 856-776-1176. Leave a short message with name and phone number twice. You do that. And we thank you so much for tuning in to ClassicRedneckRadio.com. We have 6 minutes after 9. Billy is hooking up with Larry Sharpe, the man who is running as a libertarian and running for the governorship of New York. And if you need to know more information about Larry, he does have a website, Larry, SHARPE.com, libertarian, and making quite a story. He's traveled all over the state, talking to many, many, many people. He is about your individual rights and really wants to make a change and a shake-up in New York. So that he's going to be on the line here pretty soon.
All right, Sam, we have him on the line right now, and seems to be a problem with Skype this evening. You're fading in and out, and we had difficulty connecting up with him. So it is, as we know, the spiritual forces that are trying to work against what is good, Sam. And we're familiar with that. We love to do warfare. We are prepared for that. Mr. Sharpe, you're there. You have a connection, correct?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. We have you.
Awesome.
We have you going across America this evening, and in the state of New York as well. We are very, very humbly excited before the Creator of heaven and earth, because we believe, and certainly I can speak for myself and those who I've communicated with directly. We believe that you're a last hope for the entire country of America, for certain reasons we may or may not get into in this particular broadcast, but we do believe that you are being sent in to do specific work for all the people. And so we are very, very interested in hearing your story. Sam has given me some of the background information. I also listened to some of your recordings and interviews as well. So what I would like to do is give you most of the airtime. Sam will ask some questions as well, and about your background and things like that, your childhood, that sort of a thing. And then maybe we'll take some callers and have them call in as well. And then I want to play a song towards the end of the broadcast of my dear friend, and you may know of him, George McCrae. He's the singer. He sold about 30 million records, and he wrote a song called America, Red, White, and Blue. And boy, is it incredible. So my intention is I'm going to ask you about Mr. George McCrae, and when you become governor, I want you to bring him to sing this song. I'm going to play you the song later on in the broadcast, and it is something I think that's so supernaturally special. So you have the microphone right now. Say whatever the Almighty puts in your heart.
I want to say thank you for having me this evening. I want to make a lot of change in New York State, but not just New York State, but the entire nation. I think we have to make sure that we're able to give people much more personal freedom. We have to respect specifically the Bill of Rights, and we have to make sure that if we focus on that we can have people who can be free to do what they feel is right, and they'll just be happier. I mean, happiness is something we don't talk about, and I want to talk about happiness. Our nation was built on the idea of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Mm-hmm. The problem is, I don't know what's going to make you happy. I can't look in your heart and say this is what's going to make you happy. Nobody can. I can't do that. But I can facilitate. I can help you to find your own journey for happiness, right? Your pursuit of happiness is your own journey. And the government shouldn't be trying to stop you. Government should be facilitating that. And if we do it right, people will be happier. They'll stay in my state. They'll raise their families here. Their families will get educated here. They'll start businesses here. They'll retire here. They'll spend their pensions here. They'll spend their lives here in New York State, and that's what I want.
Well, your point is very well taken, because there happens to be 80 million laws in the world, and many laws in America, well over 5 million laws, and we declare them laws too grievous for men to bear. And so the heart that you have, the spirit that you have to once again reestablish the pursuit of happiness and remove a lot of these obstacles and the bullying that goes on up there in the state of New York. And I listened to you about the freedom you want to give the counties and the towns and the villages, and let them make their own decisions, and no more bullying from the executive branch and telling them you must do this, you must do that. And I think the school system has to be adjusted, and that's a topic I know well in the state of New York. I was sent there on an assignment to it was a 2-year study of law, school education law, and I won a Supreme Court case in the state of New York with another man, wherein we could stop this misuse of money where they use more than 2% of the surplus at the end of the fiscal year, and so there's lots of hope. I believe we can do this. So,
well, look, the governor needs to stop being. This is the way government is right now. The executive wins, and then what does the executive say? I believe it was Barack Obama who said, elections have consequences, right? And that's not a good thing. It shouldn't be that now I win, I get to enforce my will upon you. That's not what it's supposed to be about. The executive should be far more about, now I should protect your rights against the local bullies that constantly pop up. Not, I should now encourage the local bullies to enforce my will. That's the wrong answer.
Right.
And that's what we see happening. So I want to be protecting the rights of the individual against the local bully. At the same time, allowing localities, municipalities, to try to come up with rules and regulations that will help themselves out. What I always say is, look, I'm from New York City. I'm a city boy. I'm a fast-talking city boy. I get that. I don't hide that fact. I'm proud of that fact. But I also know that when I go out there and I look at people who aren't fast-talking city boys, I don't know what's right for them. I get that. I don't know what's right for them. But guess what? They don't know what's right for me either. We are even. How about instead, I let you be you let me be me, we let him be her, him be him and her be her, and we leave them alone.
Right.
It's a much better way of making things happen. On top of that, look, when the local bullies pop up, if we shine a light on the bad behavior, that's when it begins to change.
Exactly.
If you just want to punish, and that's the only thing, and that's what we've been doing, we just worry about punishing. We don't fix the underlying system, and then we always think, well, that was the one bad apple. Not, no, this is bad behavior happening everywhere. Let us shine a light on the bad behavior.
Right.
We do that, you will see that people will begin to stop the bad behavior. It's how it works.
Exactly, and I like the idea that you talked about doing away with income taxes in that state. We have lots of listeners there in the state of New York. You want to do away with the income tax, and I think that's a wonderful thing as well.
Yeah, there are two things you brought up: the income tax and education. I want to reform both tremendously. Now, education can be reformed faster. That's reformed within a year or two.
Right. Income
tax is a massive thing. It can be absolutely get rid of, but it will take about 4 years or so to do. Because the income tax in New York State is about $50 billion out of a $170 billion budget. You can't just make that up in 5 minutes. That's going to take 4 years, a long time to repair. Now, can I touch education first? Is that okay?
Absolutely. That's my topic. Go ahead.
I love it. Yes, the number one thing I'm going to do in education is I want to reform it from the bottom up. And that means I want to get rid of all standardized testing until high school. Standardized testing is an unfair way of grading teachers. It's an unfair way of grading schools. It makes kids who are 10, 11, 12 years old who can't take tests well feel stupid. And now they're labeled as a dumb kid. And it's unfair to them. And at that age, it doesn't in any way, shape, or form signify success. You can be a good test taker or a bad test taker at 10 years old and still be successful. It doesn't really matter. So that has to go away. Most teachers, when I tell them this, love this concept. Because the next thing that happens is, if that happens, two other things happen. One, federal funds go away because the feds want to make sure they keep track. And when we refuse to keep track, they will remove their federal funds. Now, federal funds in New York State is about $4 billion out of the $60 billion. So we will lose $4 billion. But hold that number in your head. We're going to fix that. Not only do we lose those $4 billion, but we also lose all of the strings attached, right? All of those strings that were attached to that $4 billion, we lose those. Which means...
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Exactly right. Yeah. That's exactly what I want.
Good.
So if we start doing that, now all those administrators, all those people who are checking boxes, all those people who are actually making the teachers do 3 and 4 and 5 times the work, those people can now go away also.
Yes, praise the Lord. Let me interject for a minute, Larry, because you're in my wheelhouse. And I love what you're saying because I know your heart's true because I've been there, and I put many people in the state of New York on the school boards, and they tell me, they say, Billy, I'm in there, and this is what the superintendents do. It's a rigged system. They shut their mouths about the law, the educational law. They shut their mouths, and then they open up their mouth after you've broken the law, and then they scare the bejeepers out of you, and then they control you the rest of your term. So we need to stop that box checking crap. And when people are on the school board, they need to rule over the pursuit of happiness of their territory. So I'm with you 100%.
Yes, you've hit it perfectly. And that will mean, as we keep moving on, that there will be some localization when it comes to school standards. I'm actually okay with that, too. Again, as long as they are transparent. If you're taking government money, you must be transparent. But I'm okay if you make shifts here or there. I know people who've said they want to build a farm in their school district or something like that. Good, if that's what you think your district wants and that will make your people happy, I'm in.
Right on.
Right?
Agreeing, 100%.
Do what you think. Yes, what's going to work for you to keep your kids happy?
Right.
But Larry, then they won't teach X or they won't teach Y. Will the kids survive in their environment? Will they thrive? Are the parents happy? That's what I want to do. I'm far more worried about that than any specific thing being taught here or there. I want the basics taught. Of course I do. Everybody does. But what I actually want more than that is for kids to learn, to love to learn, to know they need to keep learning. This world changes so fast. Whatever you learn in school today, 20 years from now, you've got to learn 20 more things because 20 more things happen. 20 more things change. There's new technology. There's businesses now that exist to this day, 20 years from now, won't exist anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
There's businesses that will exist in 20 years, don't exist now. How can you possibly learn all that? You can't. You're going to keep learning. That's what I want to do. I want to teach kids how to think. That's far more important than shoving a bunch of data in their heads.
Absolutely right. Teaching them how to think is the way to go. And I also have, where you're in my wheelhouse, I went into schools in the state of New York, and I formed science fairs that had never been in those schools before in like 150 years. Formed science fairs and had famous people come in and judge. I'm an inventor also. I have more than 4,000 inventions. And
4,000, is that right?
More than 4,000. And the thing is that when we can allow the children to let the creator's creativity, he's our creator, we're the creative, children of him. And so when we can express that and really develop technology that's not going to ever be harmful, but is good for us, witty inventions, it says in the book of Proverbs, chapter 8. So that's what I'm all for, is letting these children, let their creative juices come out of them. And if they want to be a plumber, damn it, let them be a plumber. If Grandpa was a shoemaker, don't encourage children in the public school system. Don't encourage the children. You don't have to be like Grandpa and be a shoemaker. You don't have to be a low-life shoemaker. You don't have to do that. What they should encourage is, why don't you take the old money of your grandfather's shoemaking business, and why don't you open up retail shoe stores? Why don't we? That's what the elite do. You see, the elite they build on the old money and they stay in the business vine of what Daddy did, great grandpa did. So I think that's the key of how the elite keep the poor, and they stay up there on the top.
Well, it's funny. I've learned a lot, me in my business life, and I've learned that many times you find that some people who have been perpetually poor, they often spend on the wrong things. Right on. Yep. Right? They're not investing in themselves in some way, shape, or form. And that really is one of the most important things, to somehow invest in yourself. That's really critical. And people often don't do that. And that might mean in your own skill set, that might mean in your family, that might mean in your knowledge base, that could mean many different things. Right. But you want to try to invest in yourself. Absolutely, and you're still going to need a plumber, an electrician. You're still going to need a builder and a roofer and appliance person. You're still going to need those things. And there are a lot of people who are very happy doing that. So why wouldn't I let them? Why wouldn't I encourage them? Right. So, as you're saying, right, I want to make sure that teachers love this, but I want to go one step further to right what you were talking about. Right now, we have a K through 12 program. I don't want that anymore. I want K through 10. And the reason why I say that is the last 2 years of high school for far too many kids is gym, study hall, and video games. Right. That is nothing but a waste of their time, a waste of their talent, a waste of their energy. I mean, it makes them unhappy. It makes them, they have no community. They have no purpose. Nothing but problems. Right. And how do we know this? We can see it because the first year of college for most kids is 13th grade. It's all remedial stuff because they've forgotten everything. They don't do anything the last 2 years of high school. Not just that, it takes the kid now an average of 6 years to graduate high school. 6 years is average if he or she even graduates. Most don't even graduate. It's a horrible the way this is now. So now you got a kid who's 24 years old. He's never had a boss. And we wonder, why does he have no work ethic? Well, we set the system up so he wouldn't have any work ethic, and now he can't get a job because nobody wants to hire a kid who, when you tell him to show up at 8 o'clock, he shows up at 9:30.
Yeah,
that's not going to work.
Hey, let me bring up another point. Go ahead. I got a dovetail in this, man. In the state of New York and in America right now, there's a huge shortage of working young people. They don't want to work, and the ones that really want to work, they are so busy that you can't get any more time out of them, and so you have a lot of them are doing what we call the mark of the beast texting, and they're living on this electronic realm, which is taking empathy and bringing it into the dumpster, and so the whole the whole work ethic of a child earning what do you call it a stipend each week? What do they call it? Parents pay the children to do chores.
Yep.
And so the problem is that even for myself, for some of the projects that I do, I advertised for 3 months, and I got like one man, 64 years old, and he said, I can help you 4 hours a week. And nobody wants to work in America. So there's a problem. There's farmers in America who are committing suicide because the young people don't want to work on the farm anymore. They want to do the damn computer crap. And so the farmers are upset because the immigrants can't come in and do their stuff, yet we don't want immigrants coming in and murdering people and all that. We understand that, but the problem is a moral problem, and it's in the public school system first. It's in the house, then it's the school system. It's the whole thing is broken morally, and that creative juices, you and I know well, that's how we made it. Those creative juices, that creative the ideas that come from on high, and the propulsion, our determination, our drive, our tenacity, and that's lost because they're lost in the programming of the electronic realm. So we're on the same page, and what do we do about that problem? I mean, I think the Empire State is Babylon in the Bible. It definitely is Babylon. There's no doubt about it. I can prove it very quickly. However, that's why I think God wants you in that seat, because he will take someone like you, like he did with Trump, and put you in there and allow you to begin to clean out the swamp, if you will, and reestablish some hope. Our inbound live on the air line is called the Hope Line, and we want to bring hope to the people in the time of great
darkness in this country and division and all these things that are occurring. So, what would you do about that? I mean, how's that? Sure. I hear exactly what you're saying. The amount of people, we have an epidemic here in New York when it comes to farmers killing themselves. You're right. This is happening here in New York also. It's everywhere. Dairy farmers and non-dairy farmers. Everything you just said is 100% correct and happening here in New York State. Absolutely. And on top of that, we have people who want to grow their own businesses, and they can't because they can't find talent. They can't find people who will just show up. I don't know how many times I've heard a small business owner say, Larry, I will hire anyone with a work ethic. Right. One guy actually told me a story. He said, you know how I hire people? I said, how? He says, I tell them to show up at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I open the door at 8 o'clock in the morning. If they're actually there, they're hired. Because there are so few who will actually show up at 8 o'clock in the morning. And you don't mind paying them well either. You don't mind paying them well when they do that. Because it's like 1 in 100 will show up at 8 o'clock. That's it. That's it. And that's what he said. He said that's his entire, interviewing process. Yeah. I pay to show up at 8. I open the door. You're there. You're hired. That's it. That's how bad it is. Everything you're saying, right on the money. I see it here all the time. I hear it all the time. Yes. And that's why I think, Larry, God put us together. I'm going to tell you why. Because I'm a man of God. I keep the commandments. I will not lie. I won't steal. I won't covet what you have. I'm here to help, and that's what I've been doing for many, 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 many years. And I believe that we can fix this. And I believe that we've been given the supernatural abilities to hear from the voice of God to make, you can call it gut feeling, intuition, whatever you want to call it. I will call it what I want to call it, and I'm telling you, it is possible. That I'm calling it a miracle that is possible, a hope-filled miracle that the Almighty, because I've
assayed the hearts of men in the state of New York, Republicans and whatnot, and there's a secret underground swelling of I can't stand Andrew Cuomo, and there's nothing else in the mix in that Cracker Jack box with the prize. There's nothing else in there other than Larry Sharpe, who can come in there and do it. So it's.
No, I'm hearing you, and I'm going to touch some more of these points you just brought up.
Okay.
What we have in New York State, one of the reasons why that's happening is because the actual system itself is anti-tradesmen. You actually talk to kids in school who want to go into trades. And in New York State, for those of you not in New York State, we have a thing called BOCES. And BOCES allows you to pick up a trade. Right. Literally, the teachers and the parents and the guidance counselors say things like this. No. BOCES is for the bad kids. BOCES is for the dumb kids. Or, you're better than BOCES. Shame on us for that.
Yeah, shame on them, which is totally ridiculous. I'm going to announce something.
Yes.
My listeners don't know this. I'm going to announce something. Many years ago, they tested my brain. My IQ is huge. And they actually made me a teacher for a short period of time. I was a teacher in a New York State BOCES instruction class.
So you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yes, I know exactly where you're coming from. Yep. And those children came back to me 20, 30, 40 years later. I'd meet them in the paths of life, and they said, you changed my life. You showed us hope where there was. You taught us how to think. Now I'm a millionaire, they would say to me. Now I'm a millionaire. You showed me how to create something from a block of wood to something that I saw inside my brain, inside my heart, and my dream, and I did it. And some of them are in the water bottling business and all sorts of things. So, can we, and Sam probably wants to interrupt. We've got about 27 minutes left in the broadcast. Can we talk about, because I've assayed the people there, can we talk about the SAFE Act? Because I know that Andrew wants to do SAFE Act 2 at the moment. He thinks he's going to be, reinstated as governor. He wants to do SAFE Act 2. He wants to put you in jail if you have great grandpa's 22. It's never been fired in umpteen years. They want to put you in jail if you haven't registered great grandpa's 22. So, what's your opinion on that whole issue?
Sure. Look, I am a big proponent of the Second Amendment, and one of the reasons why is it's right after the First. The First Amendment is our number one most important amendment. Without freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of association, freedom of the press, we don't have a nation. So that's the number one of all of them. And right after that is the Second Amendment, which protects the First.
Right.
This is a very important amendment, and that's why I support it so much.
Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
The SAFE Act is a direct assault on that. And even though I don't actually say it that way usually, because there's a lot of people here in New York who are on the left who think the SAFE Act is great. And what they think is the SAFE Act, it says safe in the name. I'm not joking, they believe that. And we haven't had a school shooting in 5 years. Therefore, it's working. And they're done. That's as far as they have looked.
Right.
But what they don't realize is, and I tell them this when I chat, I say, thank you for saying that. Did you know that the SAFE Act literally made millions of New Yorkers criminals overnight? Literally, people who purchased their legal firearm, legally, that they own, legally their property, and they woke up the next morning, and according to the SAFE Act, they were violent felons because they have a piece of plastic on their firearm that His Majesty King Andrew Cuomo has deemed to be evil or bad.
Isn't there something? Excuse me for interrupting you. Isn't there, for the sake of the listeners from the state of New York who are Second Amendment people, isn't there something in the state of New York regarding bullets or something as well? Yes,
and if your magazine holds more than 10 bullets in the magazine, it's illegal.
Wow.
It's illegal.
Wow.
Some parts of the states, it's if it's 7, more than 7.
Isn't that something?
Horrible.
I heard you on a broadcast. I'm going to interrupt you again, please. I heard you on a broadcast. We're talking to Larry Sharpe, ladies and gentlemen. He's the next governor of the state of New York. Please repent, everybody, and declare and pray for this man, because this is the last. I'm telling you, he's the last hope to change America and make a place of refuge, because everybody leaves. I understand they leave the state of New York in record numbers, but this man can be sent in to reestablish what was once made by George Washington in Manhattan, in the Constitutional Hall, and kneeling down and praying down there by St. Paul's Cathedral, and that whole issue. And so, basically, ladies and gentlemen, again, I want to reaffirm, please declare for this man. Please declare for this man. And I want to. There's so many things I want to talk to you about. I'm going to give the mic back to you real quick, and I want to get into so you can prepare yourself for this. I want to get into the Real ID situation and the breach of the First Amendment, and the fact that Andrew Cuomo, and I have all the documentation to prove this, and we have a 30-year-old Jewish young woman who is 100% commandment keeping, Torah keeping, and filed a religious photo exemption in the state of New York to not have a photo, but she complied with everything else. And Andrew Cuomo said he's not going to give it anymore to nobody, not even the Amish, not even the Mennonites, not the Jews, not the Christians. Nobody's going to get the exemption from what we're terming as the mark of the beast, which is the measurement of a man's face and looking in the iris scan. It's right in the book of Revelation, easily proven. I think we have to keep that First Amendment. It has to stand. And if somebody can prove to be a person of the state who is, or living in the territory of the state of New York, who has kept in good standing in their village, in their town, and is contributed to society, and says, hey, I want to be able to travel, right to travel freely, but I want to be able to do it without breaking the commandment of God, the second commandment. I want to be able to do that. It should not be restricted by King Andrew. It's just ridiculous. He wants to put everybody in. Now, if the Amish, who are, by the way, the Amish are, they have me counsel them, the Amish and the Mennonites within the state of New York, and they're very afraid that King Andrew is going to remove their buggy rights, that they're going to have to take the Real ID biometric photograph, which is a breach of, again, their religious rights and their second commandment. So that's an issue I'm deeply concerned with, Larry Sharpe, running for governor of the state of New York, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow, you threw a lot at me right there.
I did. I did. I know, but see, you can handle this, because if you couldn't handle this, God would have never pulled you out of Manhattan and put you in this position. Believe me, it's a fact.
So I won't finish education. You got the concept behind education pretty well down.
Yes, sir.
And if you're interested, you can head over to LarrySharpe.com and you can check out the policy page, and there's lots of policy issues. You can go some details on that. The SAFE Act, I want to cover one more important piece if I could.
Yes.
The SAFE Act also does something horrible in that it actually makes our medical community part of a secret state police that reports on people of any kind of mental concern or issue in any way, shape, or form. Mm-hmm. When we do that, we've broken the physician-patient bond. Not just that, you get in a car accident, and someone says, "How do you feel?" And you say, "I feel so bad, I want to die," and they write suicidal.
Yeah.
And now the cops come by and they're going to take your firearms. And there's no due process and no appeals process.
Right.
Done. I mean, at least give me an appeals process or some due process, so if there's a mistake, I can fix it.
Right.
Or I can get my property back or something, at least that.
Right.
And there's nothing. This affects our veterans more than non-veterans because they're more apt to have PTSD and TBI, and because they're more apt to have firearms. Mm-hmm. And worse, we are an actual community vets. So when the veterans tell each other this, so they decide to not give each other, get help at all. Mm-hmm. Instead, they try to give each other the weapons when they have bad times, which doesn't always work. But when a vet comes to you and says, "Hey, man, do me a favor, take my rifles," what he's telling you is, I just had one in my mouth last night and didn't pull a trigger.
Right, exactly.
And I need some help. That's what he's saying. They would go get help if they weren't afraid they'd lose their Second Amendment rights.
Absolutely.
The SAFE Act hurts us all. It hurts vets more than non-vets. And the last thing it does, it creates a black market, make it even worse. Now people, instead of just selling ammunition normally, they're selling it, a black market. Now they're selling their weapons black market. They're reporting nothing now, which makes law enforcement's job even harder. Mm-hmm. The SAFE Act does all these things bad. And as I tell people this, you'd be amazed how many, left, right, independent, start saying, you know what, this thing is bad. Mm-hmm. And they start realizing it. And that's why I'm saying by 2020, I will make sure the SAFE Act is actually repealed in New York State. That's what we have to do. We have to start getting our Second Amendment rights back, and we don't have them.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And once, as you know, in the carnal flesh aspect of life, once they do away with the weapons, as in all the other aspects of history, you're toast.
Yes.
And then when they do the biometrics, the real ID thing, they're going to put 7 million drones in the air with biometric. It's all going to be a biometric, all-seeing eye of Horus camera situation, the eye, and we get to see the future. We get to see, because we're creative people, we get to see the future. We get to see where we're heading, where the sheeple, who are they're our brothers and sisters. We have to watch over them, and they are being programmed to accept this. Now, there's nothing wrong with technology. Like maybe there's, and I have sci-fi stuff that can make electricity without fuel and all sorts of things like that. And, you have the whole electronic grid, you have the whole bureaucracy to work against and all that sort of thing. And if we can have witty inventions from these people, and not create a society where they're sedentary, sitting down and looking at a computer screen and having those the radiation from Wi-Fi and G5 creating grievous sores on their body and all these things that are about to occur. By the way, G5 is going to be put all over the place, every few hundred feet, and it is multiple frequencies, easily proven, will create all sorts of sickness very, very quickly in men. So these are aspects that we're going to have to fight as well. We're going to have a battle, and you're going to need my people. You're going to need the people that listen to Classic Redneck Radio, because we are the Redneck Freedom Fighters. By the way, I want to announce this to the listeners, Larry, and this is probably an interview you never had before, but I have to say this because it's going to share with the listeners and share with you. The word redneck, ladies and gentlemen, we study words to the root meaning of words. That's where you find supernatural relief, because the devil changed words. He's the author of confusion. We found out when we started this particular project called Classic Redneck Radio, we found out that in 1638, because it doesn't come from rednecks who got a sunburn on their neck in the South.
No, I know this story.
Yeah, the Scottish National Covenant. They're sick and tired of tyranny, the Vatican, and the monarchy of England, like we are. We're the peasants. We're sick and tired of it. In England, Ireland, and the Scots, in a village called Kirkard, in Edinburgh, Scotland, we got together and we did an indictment. We listed all the sins of this government, the religious government and the monarchy, and then we signed our names, some of us in our own blood. On the neck of the document, we put red ribbons around our necks. We call ourselves the Redneck Freedom Fighters, and that's where this is a fact, Larry, this is where the red stripe came.
I've heard this story before. I'm with you.
Yeah.
I heard it already.
And so, when Mr. Trump was running, he listens to this broadcast, by the way, and when he was running, when he was during the campaign, because he went back to Scotland to make his decision to run for president, and then he went back again to Scotland to make some decisions during the campaign, and he came out and he said the following words: "The rednecks will come out and fight for me." He knows what a redneck really means. It's not a man with a pickup truck that's jacked up with a shotgun in the rear and the dog in the back, or his house is on wheels, and I have nothing against that. I even have had the number one monster truck in America, and so there's going to be
a lot of the men that I respected tremendously when I was in the Marine Corps were exactly that type of redneck, and I still love them.
They're my buds, man. They're my buds. And I heard you were a truck driver.
I was. It's true.
Yeah, I drove a TransStar 10-speed Road Ranger with a water tanker. Yeah.
Wow.
And it's
a bigger rig than I drove.
Yeah, but the thing is that, see, We are brethren. Watch this. We study words. The word America came from two ancient words, which were Amer and Rika, and it means kingdom heaven. We're the most blessed nation on the planet. If we get to play George McRae's song, he's a Scottish black man. He has 120 million songs. Woman, take me in your arms, rock me, baby. But he wrote this song called Red, White, and Blue America. He did it in upstate New York, in a place called Stamford, New York, and he did it, we wanted a lot of these political guys, because poly means many, tick means bloodsuckers. We wanted them to have George there to sing this song because it's supernaturally powerful, ladies and gentlemen. And George McRae learned the Bible, went to church every day. He also studied to be a lawyer. His father was a policeman. You can't make this stuff up. And the words he wrote at 3 o'clock in the morning after being exhausted in Stamford, New York, are perfect for this night. It's an anointed song we're going to hear in a few minutes. So, ladies and gentlemen, listen. You're listening to me now on WJIV this evening. You're going to hear this rebroadcast on JIV and other stations in the state of New York. You're listening to me across America. Listen to me. You know me for years and years. I've been on the radio for decades. Please, pick up your phone, call your friends and relatives in the state of New York. You tell them that Billy Redneck said in a prophecy that you got to get signs out. You got to spend some money. You got to put ads in the papers. You got to do whatever you can do lawfully. Call every friend you can and put this man in the seat of governorship in the state of New York. And I promise you, this man will hear my words. It's a prophecy. He will hear my words. He will know over time that the wisdom comes from the Almighty and that He is the last hope for Americans, kingdom of heaven people. If you're a Christian, even if you're a Muslim, even if you're a Messianic, if you're a Jew, this man wants you to have your pursuit of happiness and your freedom to speak and not to have your picture biometrically measurement of your face, 666 18-point measurement, that you can have some privacy and that they know who you are. And Larry, I thought of something. Okay. I thought of something, and I want you to, sort of ruminate and meditate on this. I know you're running at 90 miles an hour NASCAR speed, or 200 miles an hour NASCAR speed. I think the Bible says that we are known by the gates of the people in our territory. Okay? Now, if you wanted to learn about my reputation, you might come to where my territory is and ask everybody what I'm about. Now, if you find me in another part of the country and you want to know about me, all you got to do is say, pick up the phone, talk to the supervisor, talk to the judge, talk to the doctors. Is that Billy? What does he look like? Let him say the code word. You're calling the supervisor, the mayor of a town. You're calling a clerk of the board, whatever it is, a pastor, a rabbi, whatever. Do you know Billy Redneck? Yeah, I know Billy. Does he have this? Is he this tall? What's his weight? Does he have a beard or not? How would I validate that this is him? Ask him this question. What kind of fish did we catch last year from the river? And I'll say, we caught a bass. It was about 10 inches long. And the supervisor of that town is going to say, that's him. And he can put me on the phone, right? A policeman can do that. They can do these things. We don't need biometric photography. That is a global, and I know you're into blockchain and currency that is electronic, but please, it is a global electronic privacy, lost, gone, naked straitjacket. And so we want to throttle that back. We want to put the brakes on and say, wait a minute, what about our right to privacy? Why are you invading us in such an intrusive way over 9/11 and that whole aspect of TSA and getting groped and it's got to stop, Larry.
My worry here is that we're not looking at China with enough fear. What I mean by that is not fear of them invading or anything like that, but looking at what they're doing, and we often look at them and go, oh, China is doing great because they're achieving something quickly. When you have an authoritative land like them, when you have an authoritative government, you can achieve things quickly. That's true. But the problem is that's deceptive. It looks good because it happens fast. And we think, well, look, the Chinese are doing this, with a face recognition, and look how good it's working right now. Well, you know what? When you do it that way, when you use that style, that authoritative style, when you use that, you get very good short-term results and horrible long-term results.
Right on.
And the best example I can give you is their one-child policy.
Right.
Their one-child policy absolutely gave them short-term results. It did. Totally short-term results. And the long-term results, terrible.
Right.
They were literally, they were drowning babies in rivers.
Yes.
I mean, they were doing things like, now you have towns and cities there that are 3-to-1 male to female. What kind of problems are you having there? You have issues where you can't get married and have families. Not enough women there for people who have families. You had a death of so many young girls.
Right.
I mean, short-term gain, absolutely, and long-term disaster.
Right on.
I think when it comes to the same thing you're talking about, the Chinese are doing it now. The Chinese are doing what you're talking about, they're doing now. And we're looking at them going, wow, look how cool that is. Yeah, short-term. What happens long-term?
I agree with you.
It's going to be a disaster.
And in India, they had to take what we're terming the mark of the beast, the biometric, the iris scan, the fingerprints, the signature. And the ones that didn't take it, Larry, to do the electronic money, the ones that didn't take it are literally starving right now. It's all biblical. It's all biblical. Yep. And it's going to be a global thing. And I believe that you have the common sense from the Creator to hear His voice and to reckon these things. I believe, ladies and gentlemen, I told you this before as I was telling you about Larry, 2 weeks ago. I believe that Larry Sharpe is the last hope for the saints to have a refuge state. And a lot of people have left the state of New York, but I believe you will come back to the state. You'll leave where you are because of this real ID situation. Larry. Sam, is there anything you'd like to talk to Larry about?
Hi, Larry.
Hi, Sam.
I saw a terrific interview with you with Mr. Rubin.
Yes,
and
Rubin,
you were talking about your childhood, which was just extraordinary. And, you're talking about children, and you're talking about the education, how important. And you have a strong issue point on family law. So can you kind of combine the two, the family law changes that you would make as well as what you grew up with and what made you the incredible governor that you are?
Well, the family law, to be forward with you, and my childhood only overlap in one small way. And let me cover both of them real fast. I was born in Manhattan, and I was adopted. I'm very happy that I was adopted. I was very lucky. I was brought to the South Bronx, and that's where I was raised as a kid until I was around 11. My dad was a corrections officer at Rikers Island. My mother was a waitress and worked in a bank. Neither of them were educated. My mom didn't even have a high school diploma. At that point, we worked our way out. We worked our way out of that bad neighborhood, and by the time I was 11, we moved out to Long Island, Suffolk County. And out there, about a year later, my father died. My father died, of course. That was horrible, as it would be for anyone who loses their father at a young age. So I wanted to escape. I wanted to leave the area. It was bad for me. So at 17 years old, I ran off and joined the Marine Corps. And I spent about 7 years in the Marine Corps, a little bit less. When I came back, my mom was in a terrible spot. My mom couldn't handle me leaving, couldn't handle my father's death, and she became addicted to drugs. Initially legal drugs, and then eventually illegal drugs. She was arrested, convicted, a felon, and she was an addict. I pulled my mom out of prison, and I tried to get her set up, as any loving son would do. I used some of my savings to get her a car, to get her an apartment, and start moving her life on. And what was horrible is she struggled. As if you've had a felon in your life, you know it's hard when you're a felon. It's difficult. And I saw that, and I hated it. I hated the fact that when my mother had a job, she would do whatever her boss said because she was so afraid that if she lost her job, there was no job for her, and she was a hostage. And I said, my mom's not going to be a hostage. I'm going to do something about this. And I couldn't stand it. So what do? We started a business. Yes, it was a trucking business. So we bought some trucks, and we started becoming truckers. That's how I became a trucker. And I did this in a way where I had no ownership. My mom owned the company, because I wanted my mom to own a company because I didn't want her to be a hostage. So she's the boss. She can't be fired. She's not a hostage anymore. Problem solved. We ran that business for about 2 years, And then it was up and running. It was me, her, and my step-pop because she got remarried. And then I left. I let them run the business. And my mother, she ran that business until she retired. And when she retired, she did what too many New Yorkers do. She left New York. She went to South Carolina. And that's where she passed away. She passed away in South Carolina. But I'm very proud of my mom. I was able to help her out. She was clean the rest of her life. And she was a success story because she had someone who would give her that support structure that she needed. Now, when I left that business, I had my own job. So the stuff I did, I didn't like it. I wanted to start my own business. So I started my own business just myself. And that one failed, and I sold that one off. And it was funny. I was on Glenn Beck 2 weeks ago. And Glenn Beck said, Larry, you started this business with your mom. What experience did you have? I said none. I said I had two choices. I had status quo, which is my mom as a hostage, or I try something to get her out of it. I said I just going to try it. I didn't want to accept status quo. I wasn't going to accept that. But the funny part is when I started the second business, after having experience in the first business, that one failed. So that one I actually had to sell off. So I had a couple more jobs. And then I had this job that I have now, and this is my new business. It's not new, but it's 14 years. I'm a teacher, a trainer, a consultant. I teach. I have some large clients like Estee Lauder and Model, some small clients like small law firms and IT companies, and I teach at many colleges, John Jay and Baruch, and I've taught at the graduate level as a guest instructor at Yale and Columbia. So that's my upbringing. Family law. I care about family law because when I go to family rights and fathers' rights events, I see a sea of broken men. I can't fix this state. We can't fix this nation with broken men. That's not how it works. Because I know behind every broken man that I see that was a father is a broken son or daughter or both. There are a bunch of broken children behind them. When your idea of manhood or womanhood is vitriolic and nasty and broken, that's how you become. And that's one of the issues that's affecting your kids tremendously. 3 parts of family court that drive me crazy. The first one is, you may or may not know this, in New York State, if you lie in family court, it is not treated as perjury. Meaning you can literally say things like, he beat me or she cheated on me in front of your kids in court. It will not be treated as perjury. Men get arrested, go to jail. Not just that, you can get a warrant out for your arrest. You can get put in jail for not paying child support on time. You know, you're $100 short 1 month, and you go to jail, or they take away your driver's license. So now your son gets to see his father do a perp walk and go off to prison. And then the mom gets to say how horrible he is. And we wonder why our children are broken. And the worst thing I hear is you have men who are paying child support $13, $14, $15 a month and can't see their children. I lost my father at 12, and the state's taking away fathers from kids. I would have taken a broke father in my life any day of the week over no father. And now I got people who I have a state who is taking away fathers from kids. Unacceptable to me. That system has to be fixed, and I'm the only guy talking about it. And the reason why no one else talks about it is because the people who are broken by the system, they don't have any money. They give their money either to their family or they give the money to lawyers. So they're not good donors. They're a bad donor base. And it's true. I don't get much money from them. I don't. But it doesn't matter. It's right, and I deal with it. Now, Larry, I haven't been divorced in here, but I care about it, so I want to fix it.
Now, Larry, we're running out of time. We have 2 minutes, 23 seconds left. I want to play a little bit of George McRae's song. I want to ask you this. I know all the broadcasters ask you this, but I want you back before the election date because we're right in New York there for you, and we want to keep your name out front. Larry Sharpe, ladies and gentlemen, has in the middle of it, he has in his name, Sharpe has harp in it. There's all sorts of supernatural signs here. Larry Sharpe running for governor. The word is as sharp as a two-edged sword, sharper than a two-edged sword, cutting to the bone and the marrow. He's here, and he's a miracle. Tell him what you need to tell him. I'm going to start the song.
Don't forget, it's LarrySharpe.com if you want to help or support, and that's Larry Sharpe with an E, and the E stands for electable.
Electable. We're doing a billboard sign for you in the state of New York, too. Here we go. This is George McRae. Governor Sharpe song right here. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Come on.
America,
right, ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to Classic Redneck Radio, and we've been having a nice fireside chat with Larry Sharpe, running for governor of the state of New York. Please help him, support him financially, every way you can. Creativity, faith without works is dead. Do some works, get up out of your lazy boy recliner, and move. This is the moment of hope right now. And thank you for listening to ClassicRedneckRadio.com. This song is by George McCrae, America, Red, White, and Blue. All right, there you go, Larry. America is great. Thank you so much, Larry, for being here. I do hope you'll come back again real soon. We're real. We're the real deal. And we very much thank God for you. And we all have sin. We all have faults. But your heart is true. And you're fighting with the very core of that compassion and that drive and that tenacity. You're a great teacher. You're a great speaker. And I want to be with you in the trench. And you're going to have battles. Once you're in there, you're going to have battles. I want to be with you through those battles. This is not my first rodeo. I was sent in to help Mr. Reagan become president in 1984. I've helped Mr. Tom Kean and the Republicans there. All sorts of things, assignments. So I want to be there for you. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to Classic Redneck Radio. All right, Larry, I'll get on the line with you right now. Please hold. And do not scatter. What do we gather? The fragments, the hidden manna of truth. For the harvest of truth is plentiful, but the laborers are few. Pray there be more laborers. We're reading from the book of Proverbs, written by Solomon, and now we are proceeding